Dave Chappelle being attacked while on stage performing his comedy stand-up at the Hollywood Bowl is no laughing matter. Hello. What's going on? It's your girl, Miss Ann Littlecorn. I'm coming to you straight out of NYC on this very quiet Wednesday afternoon. So we got to really talk about Dave Chappelle being attacked at the Hollywood Bowl. It happened last night. This, to me, is nothing to laugh at. And I'm not going to even deny it. It could be influenced by the whole thing with Will Smith, or it could be something else. But all I know is this isn't nothing to laugh about. And if I was a performer, I'm not saying a comedian. If I was a performer, no. I would not. I would be very, 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 very careful. Okay? So I'm going to read from CBS News. And it reads, Dave Chappelle attacked on stage by armed man while performing at LA's Hollywood Bowl. Comedian Dave Chappelle was attacked on stage by an armed man Tuesday night as he performed at Los Angeles Hollywood Bowl Arena, with videos from audience members' cell phones quickly flooding social media and showing a man appear to run onto the stage and tackle the comic. The Los Angeles Police Department said the 23-year-old man pointed a weapon, later determined to be a replica handgun that contained a knife blade, at Chappelle. The suspect, identified as Isaiah Lee of Los Angeles, was arrested and accused of assault with a deadly weapon. Following the incident, Lee was transported to the hospital for medical treatment for injuries before being taken to the police station and arrested. Lee is being held on a $30,000 bail. Chappelle's representative, Carla Sims, said in a statement that Chappelle is fully cooperating with the active police investigation into this incident. The performances by Chappelle at the Hollywood Bowl were epic and record-breaking, and he refuses to allow last night's incident to overshadow the magic of this historic moment, Sims said. Chappelle, whose unapologetic humor has made him a lightning rod for criticism, appeared unscathed by the sudden interruption and later joked with fellow comedian and actor Jamie Foxx on stage that he'd taken revenge on his attacker. Videos posted to Twitter appeared to show the person who charged Chappelle being detained outside the venue by police and then loaded into an ambulance with visible injuries. Witnesses said the videos appeared to show that the man was set upon by multiple people on stage immediately after he attacked Chappelle. While the entire debacle was captured in multiple videos shot by members of the audience, cell phone use was officially banned during the performance. The motivation for the initial attack remained unclear. Chappelle was on stage performing as part of the Netflixisajoke comedy festival sponsored by the streaming giant. We care deeply about the safety of creators, and we strongly defend the right of stand-up comedians to perform on stage without fear of violence, a Netflix spokesperson said in a statement. Comedian Chris Rock was at the show and jokingly asked if the attacker was Will Smith, who made headlines by bounding up on stage and slapping Rock at the Academy Awards in March. Chappelle drew a sharp rebuke late last year from the transgender community for jokes about at their expense, featured in his latest Netflix special, The Closer, which premiered in October. Netflix stood by the Washington, D.C. native, continuing to air the special despite hundreds of his own employees staging a walkout over what they deemed Chappelle's transphobic jokes. The comic later said he'll be happy to meet with any members of the transgender community, but that he would not be swayed by anyone's demand to censor his routine. To the transgender community, I am more than willing to give you an audience, but you will not summon me. I am not bending to anybody's demands, he told an audience in a clip posted to his Instagram. The 48-year-old comedian listed 3 conditions for any potential meeting and responded to fellow comedian Hannah Gadsby, who labeled Chappelle's Netflix special hate speech. If you want to meet with me, I'll be more than willing to, but I have conditions. First of all, you cannot come if you have not watched any special from beginning to end. You must come to a place of my choosing at a time of choosing. And thirdly, you must admit that Hannah Gadsby is not funny. That the end was funny. Okay, so let me take it back to late last year when Dave Chappelle basically spoke about the whole transgender community debating whether what he said was free speech or if he was basically using hate speech as comedy. Now, once we got into 2022, it fizzled down. But what occurred was that somebody used the phone to record the comedy routine, and they leaked that one segment, and it went viral. And it seemed like a way to basically make Dave Chappelle cow down to the agenda, if you know what I mean. So it didn't work, and Dave Chappelle has been going on speaking and doing like other engagements, comedic wise and so forth. Now, when I mean the agenda, I'm not talking about the whole LGBT agenda. I'm just speaking about the T part, because he always would tell the joke about the T's are now the stars, whereas decades ago it was the L and the G's, you know, but nobody really cared about the B's so much, but the T's are now the front. They're like at the front seat, you know, they're the stars. So pretty much it didn't work. So then we have the incident in March last month. Well, not last month, but back in March with Will Smith slapping Chris Rock. And because of what Chris Rock said, I talked about this on my channel. It basically became, comedians are now going to be fearful of their lives to tell jokes. They're going to have to use measures for safety and so forth. So for over a month, they've been talking about the possibility of comedians being attacked. Now, what I find interesting is that the Hollywood Bowl is one of those places that you cannot get on stage unless you are of the talent. And if you're a person that works in production, you're basically in the back. Also, security is very tight. And Tariq Nasheed even explained how you could even bring a phone inside of the auditorium. Also, you basically see security everywhere. So how did this guy, Isaiah Lee, get there to where he was able to bring a weapon? Now, the weapon, I'm going to show it in the link where with the article, you're going to see the gun and the knife. It's like a knife that's like implanted inside of a gun. You think it's a gun, but it's really a knife. That blade, if he would have successfully stabbed Dave Chappelle, them injuries would have been like extremely serious, okay? This was no butter knife, and this wasn't like he just, got up there and jumped him or smacked him. This was like, I'm going to come up here and do damage to you. Now, my antennas are up because, Jamie Foxx being there, that's Jamie Foxx just being there, whatever. But Chris Rock was there. And he hasn't said anything publicly about the Will Smith incident. But this kid jumps up, and the first thing you say was that Will Smith? Now, why would you make a joke like that, knowing that you already are in a situation where you got hurt? You got smacked by Will Smith. And remember, when he got smacked by Will Smith before, the last thing he said was, here comes Richard. So now you like, wait, was that Will Smith? To get a laugh out of it. And you're making yourself not look like a victim from the situation. You shouldn't have never said anything. But I'm going to talk about that later on. Now, I want to go back to this kid, Isaiah Lee. Isaiah Lee is homeless. How did you get tickets? How did you even get in, let alone be able to get tickets? First of all, you couldn't get in unless you paid for it. The tickets cost minimum $300. Tariq Nasheed said that his tickets for one of the shows with Dave Chappelle, him and his wife, their tickets was like, they was like in the middle. So their tickets was like $600, $700. You could hear it in the commentary that he did about this. I just listened to it like half an hour ago. Another thing also is somebody had to let this young man in. And that young man going to tell. He going to talk. Because he's facing serious time. First, you came with a weapon. Then you got on stage. Then you attacked him while you had the weapon on your person. Dave Chappelle threw his ass on the ground. He handled him. But my issue is, how did it happen? It shouldn't have came about. And my tinfoil hat, my antennas are up because something just ain't right about this. I'm just going to be honest. I think that it's a possibility it's an inside job. I don't think it was staged on Dave Chappelle's part. But we got to remember something. Dave Chappelle got a lot of enemies from that special, The Closer. Okay? And we got to be real careful. And also, too, free speech. Let's not forget, a lot of people are very frantic right now because you have the PC culture that's basically like you can't say what you want to say in your dialogues, in your comedy, even in your lyrics and music. But then you got other people that are like, oh, I'm going to say what I really want to say. And also it can be degrading. It could be violent, racist, sexist, anti-gay. Let's be honest. So it's this extremity that's basically tearing apart our country. And that's like the bigger picture that's going on. And that's something that really needs to be discussed and talked about. This extreme politics. I miss the 90s, particularly the first half. I miss the 90s. I miss the 2000s. I'm going to be honest with you, because you could speak how you felt, and even if people didn't like it, you weren't going to be ruined for the rest of your life for it. And with that being said, I'm signing off. I'm going to come back shortly because I have some more things to say in regard to this situation. And I'll get back to you soon. Later.